The original No More Heroes was a very peculiar game, even for its time. It had a very wicked sense of humor, tons of violence, and a very bizarre and perplexing story. However, thanks to its fun combat system and tight controls, it quickly became a favorite of many action game fans, including me. A couple of years later in 2010, we got a sequel called No More Heroes 2: Desperate Struggle, which was overall an improvement in my opinion. And after this, we wouldn't see another entry in the franchise till 2019's spin-off Travis Strikes Again. This game got a mixed reception upon release, but after a while, I feel like a lot more people have warmed up to it. I thought it was alright. And now, we finally have the fourth entry in the franchise, No More Heroes 3. No subtitle, surprisingly. This game and Travis Strikes Again marks the return of series creator Goichi Suda in the role of lead game designer and director in over a decade. So of course I had generally high expectations from this game, and thankfully I'm very happy to say that I enjoyed it a lot. So in this video I'm gonna tell you why I think No More Heroes 3 is a great sequel. Just in the first hour, we know that this one is going to be way more bizarre and outlandish than the first two games. The story starts out with the small 2D action game sequence, then with an animated cutscene which introduces our main group of villains, and after that, we finally get to control our main protagonist, Travis Touchdown, who is now 39 years old and stronger than ever. With the first combat encounter, we get to learn some new moves and combat mechanics in this awesome tutorial sequence. The story takes place 2 years after Travis Strikes Again and over 9 years after No More Heroes 2. This time, aliens have attacked the planet and it's up to our hero Travis to stop them. As usual, there is a ranking list of all the strong aliens that he will have to defeat one by one. Of course, it has the wacky and nonsensical writing the series is known for, and 3 just goes above and beyond in that regard. It goes to the point where nothing in the game could surprise me anymore. There are references to Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Takashi Miike, and a lot more things that any fan of Japanese media will instantly recognize. Seriously, this game is filled to the brim with references to Japanese and Western pop culture. I just love it. There is so much style, violence, and absurdity in the story. It's incredible. Also, for some reason, the cat can talk now.
Travis, you're behind enemy lines now.
Why? I really love the main villain Fu and his group. They are completely insane and actually feel like a threat. Many side characters from the prequel also return and get a fair amount of screen time. I also like how the devs made each chapter of the game feel like an anime episode, with the opening and ending credits playing at the start and after you finish a chapter. There are some storylines which I thought could have been fleshed out a lot more, but I played this for the crazy story of a Suda game, and that's exactly what I got. So overall, I was pretty satisfied with the writing. On the gameplay side, the combat is awesome. It's tight, flashy, complex, and just really fun. Controls feel a lot more modern and refined. Even the motion controls are very quick and responsive. This time we also have a new jump button, but I felt that this mechanic was very underutilized in the game. Travis also got this shiny Henshin armor, and there are some fun space combat sequences where you get to fully use it. And how can I forget the Death Glove? You get 4 very overpowered abilities that are quite fun to use. You can dropkick enemies from far away, throw them around from anywhere, slow down time in a small circle around you for a few seconds, and make a ring above the enemies that shoots them for some damage. These abilities, when used in the right combination, can make any fight a breeze. I know all fans of the series would be familiar with the slot roll system, where when you perform a finisher or a suplex, a roll happens that may give you money or make you invincible for a while. This mechanic is absolutely broken in 3. If you get too lucky, it can completely erase any challenge from the fights. Which I guess is the point, but still, in 3 you get good rolls way too often. Otherwise, we have the usual light and heavy attacks, the dodge move, lock on and everything. I finished the game on bitter, which is the normal difficulty, and I wouldn't recommend it to older fans of the series personally. I would say at least start on spicy to get some kind of challenge and satisfaction, cause when the combat works, it works. The sword fights are intense, and fighting the bosses again on higher difficulties feel great. The performance during the combat is consistent, and the frame rate mostly stays at 60, which is a bliss. Compared to the first two games, the enemy variety here is a lot bigger. It's a huge improvement over 2, and I had a lot of fun fighting all the different types of aliens. You may find some enemies difficult at first, but after fighting them a few times and learning their attack pattern, you can easily handle multiple numbers of them without any problem. Other than the normal fights and boss encounters, there are these giant space monster fights that are really fun. You only get 4 of these and no way to replay them again if you want to, which was a huge bummer since I really liked these sections. I wish we get more of them as DLC. After Travis Strikes Again, it seems Travis has now brought the motel that he used to live in and has this high-tech underground lab in the basement. Here you can increase your stats, try out new moves, practice the combat, and replay any of the previously completed boss fights on higher difficulties. You get most of the skills and abilities at the start of the game, and the new ones that you can unlock are pretty useless, so I recommend not focusing too much on them. I suggest prioritizing most of your points on attack and ignore the power stat completely. For side content, there are errands that you can do for money like the previous games, and defense missions where you fight multiple waves of enemies. You can also collect scorpions throughout the city for different rewards, but I feel like none of them are worth doing because they feel very mundane and the rewards are usually just not worth it. The only errands I like are the bike chase and giant alligator fight ones. Those were fun. Before each ranked match, you will first have to fight 3 designated battles and deposit a decent amount of money in the ATM as usual. You get more than sufficient amount of money just by doing the fights, so I never really had to grind for cash like the first 2 games. After each fight you get a score depending on how you performed. Taking less damage and finishing the fights quicker will net you a better reward, and getting a S rank or higher is not really hard. This time, other than Santa Destroy, we also have 4 other small towns to explore, but this creates a problem where huge parts of the map feel very empty. There is pretty much nothing in New Brazil and Thunderdome. Instead of adding these different areas, they could have just made Santa Destroy bigger, and that would have felt a lot more sophisticated. You can also jump in the overworld, but you can't jump above fences or rubble, which was really jarring. At least we have a fast travel option accessible from the main map, but I hate the loading times. They could have been a lot quicker. Visually, the game was a mixed bag for me. The lighting and particle effects do look good, but the low resolution really messes up the visual fidelity of the game. There also seems to be a lack of proper anti-aliasing, so the game ends up looking really rough in some parts. In fact, performance outside of anything combat related is really bad, especially in the open world. I saw a ton of pop-in while exploring the city. Trees, signs and poles will just appear out of nowhere, which was very unpleasant to see. But then again, consistent performance is something I have stopped expecting from Grasshopper. And I'm not really surprised with how bad the open world section turned out to be, because we already did see that in the pre-release gameplay footage. Otherwise, all the new character designs look nice, and most of the aliens that you fight also look good. The boss fight arenas are very unique, and overall aesthetically, I would say the game doesn't look bad at all. It's just the performance outside of combat and the resolution that hinders its full potential. I thought the soundtrack was alright. There are not many tracks that stand out in this one, and I honestly prefer the boss themes of 1 and 2 a lot more, but still, overall the music in 3 is fine. Voice acting is just as good as the first 2 games. Some characters do sound a bit weird, but that's just how No More Heroes has always been. If I have to complain about something, I would say that the game does feel unfinished in many ways. There are large parts of the map that were inaccessible, some storylines don't feel fully fleshed out, and of course, the overworld is full of issues. Also, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, there is a lot of padding in this game. I feel like all of the designated battles could have just been optional, and paying money to fight the next ranked enemy is something I still don't like in No More Heroes. The combat is fun, so I'm sure most people won't mind doing the missions, but I still wish they were optional. You also can change your katana like the previous games, which is a small nitpick from my side. Overall, I really loved No More Heroes 3. It has the best gameplay in the series, the enemy encounters are solid, the writing is funny, the characters are likable, most of the ranked battles were really fun, it has just the right amount of fan service, and a final battle that I'm sure will surprise everyone. It has a story that is constantly throwing absurd events in your face, yet somehow still manages to end on an emotional and heart touching note. And then goes back to being insane again. No More Heroes 3 for me was everything I wanted from a No More Heroes sequel. I'd be lying if I said the technical issues didn't knock down the experience a little bit, but despite all the performance issues and bugs in the overworld, I still enjoyed it a lot. I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I can see how some people may find it underwhelming, and that's okay. We all can't have the same opinion, right? I'm just glad this series is now back on track. I really like these games, and from the ending, it looks like more is on the way. Hopefully. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the game below. I'll see you later.